The one thing that I've really learned to embrace, which has been really freeing for me, like emotionally, mentally, so on and so forth, is just being able to share what you learn rather than pretending like you're an expert when you're not. Hi, my name is Steven Burkhart. I have a video marketing agency called Burkhart Creative Agency, and we really specialize in creating videos that help optimize the sales and marketing funnel, whether that's on the front end with lead generation or whether it is part of the way through with explaining a product or a service that may be confusing or complex, down to pushing people into a salesperson or to some sort of closing conversation is really our goal. And we believe that video is maybe even the most effective way to do that through elements of storytelling, through engagement of all the senses. And so we're excited to be a part of that. So our approach to marketing is a little bit different. Typically, with my background as a video production person, that is usually a majority of what people concern themselves with is just shooting. But I unfortunately am kind of a bigger picture thinker. And so that means I kind of get my hands maybe in places they shouldn't be when it comes to trying to figure out solutions for people. And so one of the things that I have really enjoyed is a lot of Donald Miller's work with building a story brand. I believe that way of communicating is just really powerful and really effective. And quite frankly, as a creator, it's nice to have some guidelines on what it is that you're making so you don't feel like you're inventing the wheel every single time. What I've really ran into a lot, especially with earlier stage founder operators, is they like to talk about their business a lot and what they're doing because it's like their baby, it's what they're building. And oftentimes they really struggle with having what they speak about, the benefits that they offer, be client facing about the client. As business owners, because we're building something that's ours, it's our whole world. And so we kind of think that it's everyone else's whole world too, but we are just one stop along the way. And so when you communicate like you're the main event, it's not necessarily off-putting, but it's disconnecting because people are only concerned about how you're solving their problems. And so being able to have a framework like that in the videos that we create for people is oftentimes a very different way of communicating than they're used to doing before. And so it's fun, they find it very refreshing and very helpful. And that's usually how we write our scripts. That's how we generate our stories. And that's how we want to guide them when we're talking to them, whether it's like on-camera interviews or otherwise. Has their the similar challenges, right? And I think that's a great equalizer of a lot of businesses, which is lead generation. Like it's just been challenging to try to operate a business, do client delivery, and put in a considerable amount of work. And one of the reasons it's a little unfair for me is because I do video production. So like I can't have some crappy videos representing my business. You know, if I was a consultant, no offense to consultants, but like they're not getting hired for their video production quality. I am. And so it's kind of like a catch-22 where like for me, a lot of the ways that would probably make my life a lot simpler, I can't really pursue to create content because it kind of needs to be good. And so that creates a lot of friction. But with that said, I really enjoy helping people a lot. So I've done like workshops. I worked with the city of Mesa, which is a local one to me, a little bit, doing like workshops. I've been doing podcast training for some of their business builder assets and resources that they have for local businesses there. So that's been really, really fun. So all that to say is I've really warmed up the idea of just like educating people as part of my workflow. Something that I've been building out recently is doing webinars. I really enjoy them, and I know they can be like a little overdone and whatever else. But for me, it's kind of like if I can provide some value and I feel like I'm good with people and personable, then that really plays to my strengths. And I think that kind of goes into like really what I'd recommend for anyone is try to figure out a marketing strategy that plays to your strength. I really do feel like the personal brand piece is just really so huge. It's really leverage for everything that you're doing. And the one thing that I've really learned to embrace, which has been really freeing for me, like emotionally, mentally, so on and so forth, is just being able to share what you learn rather than pretending like you're an expert when you're not. And so I think that that's really important because like you just graduated, like you are definitely not an expert. And so people who are like, I have like several areas in my life, like audio production with video production. Like if there's like even certain words that someone uses, like I immediately know whether they're full of crap or whether or not they like have some depth of knowledge, like immediately, because I am very familiar with those things. And I think people forget that the people hiring them are like that too. And they know if like you're completely making up stuff. And so I think that's just more interesting because like as a person who's hired people and as these graduates are going to move into other things, how someone thinks and views life and their tenacity and their ability to process information, which is all demonstrated through that content that they're sharing about what they're learning, just documenting their journey. All those things are enormously valuable because you can literally, like I say, University of YouTube, like all the time. It's like a regular part of my vocabulary. You can learn any skill set, but it's whether or not you'll like actually sit down and do it that's actually the valuable piece. And so if you're a person who's actively engaging and sharing content and learning and building a personal brand and discovering that, because it just takes time to figure out what your personal brand even is, then I think that's hugely valuable. And I'm on forums all the time where people are like, oh, like I got this certification, that certification, like it got me a job. And it's like all those things are above and beyond what you learned at school, and a lot of times those are just fueled by your own curiosities. So it's like the certification, a degree is all well and good, and it looks pretty, and it's certainly nice, something to put on your resume, but like understanding it is the next level, and having certification doesn't necessarily mean that.